So I'm going to speak to those who are watching, because clearly my colleagues on the other side actually don't want to have a serious debate about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm not here to convince them. I just want to set the record straight with the American people. Instead of voting to approve a defense authorization budget today, there are certain colleagues on the other side who want to dominate this hearing on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the previous speaker just said, why would we do this? My question is, why wouldn't we? First of all, I want to ask the fact that 4 of the major military contractors that are partners with the military in doing the work of providing national security all have diversity, equity, and inclusion as priorities within their companies. Are they wrong? The 4 companies that I'm going to refer to each have heads of diversity leading their initiatives. Are those private companies wrong? I hear from my colleagues all the time on the other side of the aisle, government should work more like a business. Well, is Northrop Grumman wrong for having a vice president of chief diversity? Is Lockheed Martin wrong for having a director of enterprise operations and global diversity and inclusion? Is Boeing wrong for having a president of global equity, diversity, and inclusion? Is Raytheon wrong for having a chief diversity officer? Is it wrong that on the website of Boeing, it talks about global equity, diversity, and inclusion being a strategic pillar, and they actually outline their goals around equity for everyone, a team of all, and inclusion by all? This is something that they promote on Lockheed Martin's website. Their chairman, president, and CEO stated, and I quote, "For a global technology company like Lockheed Martin, striving to maintain a diverse workforce and an inclusive work environment is not only the right thing to do, it's also a business imperative." Is he wrong? You guys seem to know more than the heads of corporate America, who are the partners with our military in providing national security. Raytheon Technologies talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and actually has a report on all of the initiatives that they are implementing to make sure that their environments are inclusive and equitable. It talks about accelerating the pace of progress, that they firmly believe in establishing DE&I as a central component of the company's business strategy. Led by our Chief Diversity Officer, our newly created Global DE&I Advisory Board, which is composed of senior leaders from across our business units who offer oversight and governance. Our Secretary of Defense has made diversity a priority. That was the charge as part of his confirmation process in the Senate and why the president selected him. The military knows that diversity of our soldiers is actually a strength. And as I have articulated, even the top companies who are partners with the military view this as a value proposition. So why wouldn't we include diversity, equity, and inclusion? But this is not about that. This is about a wedge issue, because the sponsor of the amendment wants to create divisions in the military, not bring us closer
Mr. Chairman, I ask that the gentleman's words be taken down. You can't impugn my motives. You can't impugn my motives and say I want to harm the military. That's against the rules.
That's what you're doing in this hearing.
Gentlemen, you can have that opinion. You can't express it in the House Armed Services Committee.
Gentlemen will suspend. Would the gentleman like to rephrase his remark?
The sponsor of this amendment is more focused on an amendment proposal to eliminate the office of the Chief Diversity Officer of the Department of Defense, despite the fact that every major private contractor and business that does work as partners with the Department of Defense have the very same structures in place. So if
Gentleman's time's
it's wrong for the military, why is it right for them?
Gentleman's time's expired.